I wanted to say one other thing, and it's that I think what's powerful about this is that when you start resonating with empowering things, you naturally feel like a separation between you and the thing that was pulling you down. I think that's like one of the most important distinctions I found is that it's not just about like, setting up all the systems so you don't fall off track. It's like, why don't you start resonating internally with the person you are and the person you want to become? So that way you naturally separate and detach from the things that are holding you back, and you naturally gravitate toward the things that are, empowering you and making you live a great life. And that's the difference between uh, push and pull motivation, like extrinsic and intrinsic motivation. So if you have that intrinsic motivation, like who's the person I want to become? I want to become a person who gives a lot, who shares with people, who has an abundant, dating life and abundant social life. I want to be someone that's super healthy, someone who's vibrant, who gives a lot of energy. And in order to be that, porn doesn't fit into that game plan. So it's not a part of who I am and who I want to become.
Yeah, absolutely. If you hit on something that uh, is like a specific element of what it means to find a sense of purpose in life. So the way that I break it down with people is that every single one of us has an internal purpose and an external purpose, and the two go together. So external meaning and purpose would be, there's a really simple way to kind of test to see if you have this in your life. Is there something that you would want to exist even if you didn't?
Mm-hmm.
And do you spend a significant or a significant amount of your time every day or most days each week contributing to that thing in a positive way? That is external. The internal is where we get more spiritual and psychological, where the purpose that I feel as you were talking about is there's a version of me that I need to become. I am being drawn forward by some kind of inspiration or a sense of higher potential for who I could be, how I could contribute, the way that I could affect the world in a positive way that requires me to become a different version of myself, a higher version of myself. That is an internal purpose. And all of us, we have a sense of that, right? Like with dating is such a, I think is such a powerful example, because if you lack the skills to go up and start a conversation, to move an interaction forward in a way that is win-win for you and a girl that you're interested in, you can't set up a date, you can't create healthy relationships. What you are struggling with in a very deep sense is a core part of your psychology that is cripplingly underdeveloped, and you feel that pain. That constant sense of pain and insecurity is the psychological spiritual message that there is a part of you that needs to grow, or you in a spiritual sense, maybe not in a physical sense, will die.
AwesomeSummers.com for it was a good setup.
Yeah. And so even with my clients, there's a fantastic book called King, Warrior, Magician, Lover that I use as a framework, that inside of every man, there are four core archetypes, which are the building blocks of your psychology. The king, which is, do you know how to lead? Do you have a vision, most importantly, that is positive, that you can lead others towards? That is that kind of higher purpose element. The magician, which is your ability to encounter the unknown or chaos and turn it into something positive. Can you go into pain, negative emotion, discomfort, and come back with something valuable to give others? Then there is King Warrior. There's the warrior, right? Have you integrated your capacity for aggression? Every single man, right? The way that our biology is wired for us to express aggression is primarily physically. If you have not contacted and integrated your capacity for aggression, you will be a doormat for other people. You can't say no. You're afraid of conflict. You're afraid of other men. It creates this massive amounts of problems for people psychologically. And then the other one that we're hitting on is the lover, which is, can you, or is your sexuality integrated into your personality and into your psychology in such a way that you can be effective in dating and relationships? Which is, even in a bigger sense, like, are you capable of passing on the torch of life and consciousness?
Mhm.
And if you do not have these four things, like, inside of every person is an internal drive to what we would call actualize in Jungian psychology, these archetypes. And most people, like, we do not have pathways available to us that are helping people to make this transformation. And so people sit and struggle because they don't know how to actualize that sense of internal purpose.